Hey everyone, it's Mikayla with Birch's Botanicals. So I've just finished my farm chores for the morning, which when it's this cold and snowy, really that just means I'm checking on the animals, giving them food and water where needed, and of course, making sure that everyone is okay. So we have actually had the coldest weekend on record. So normally in this area, it's generally closer to about -10 or -15, like during the winter. When it gets really cold, that's when it's normally about like 20, like -20, -25. Well, this weekend we actually had down to -35, I think was around our lowest temperature. So an extra 10 to 15 degrees colder than it would normally be. So it was a really interesting experience as being someone who's here for the first time in the winter. So if you don't know, in October 2023, I fulfilled my lifelong dream of owning a homestead, and I bought 10 acres here in the Slocan Valley. So it might seem a little strange to some people that I would do that in the winter, but I'm someone who I get a bee in my bonnet, I get an opportunity to do something, and I kind of take it. So I'm actually really grateful that I did it this way, because if I had started in the spring or summer, to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't have known a lot of the issues that were going to come with this property, and especially this house in the winter time. So unfortunately, one of the main things, if you're ever buying property, if you're someone who wants a homestead, you really have to be careful, because people, whether blatantly or just through omission, they will lie to you. So it's turned out that there were a lot more kind of issues with the house than I had initially anticipated. The stove needed, like the wood stove that we use for some of our heat, that needed a lot of work. There's parts of the house that don't even seem to actually be insulated. So there's essentially a whole kind of whackload of problems that we've been dealing with, over the past few months. And I'm very grateful in a weird way that it's happening now, because again, if it had been, summertime, I wouldn't have understood what was going on. I probably would have, done other projects around the homestead, like start a greenhouse, whatnot. And I might not have been left with enough money at the end of the year, and I could have been really, really uncomfortable inside. So again, in a weird way, it did work out fairly well, and I've learned, honestly, just so much about rural living just in this past little, few months that I have been here, and it has been quite an experience, that is for sure. So if you are curious about what it's like to live rurally, I'm going to take you with me now to check on our community water system. So if you're someone who wants a homestead, you're going to need to know where your water is coming from, what kind of system you have. The closer to town, obviously, the more likely it is that you're going to be on municipal water. Lots of people have wells. This particular property does not have a well, although it does have, multiple water sources and a couple summertime creeks and things like that. Our water system is actually that way in the mountains. So we have this really quite nice kind of glacial fed water system, but it is a community water system, which means that everyone on our street is on it. So because it was so cold, usually everything is okay, but we've been needing to go the past few days in order to make sure that any of like the little slushy bits were getting broken up, that nothing was freezing, that nothing was condensing on the pipes and things like that. So I'm going to take you guys with me while I go do that. Okay, so this is the entrance to our community water system, and normally we can drive pretty much all of the way up, but with the snow and the fact that it's a really narrow road, that's not a good idea right now. I already got stuck just on the side of the road here the first day that I was up checking it. If you have seen my TikTok, you know how I got unstuck. And so yeah, usually we can drive in. You can see the snowmobile tracks, you can take a snowmobile in, but that's really about the only thing. So today I'm going to be walking about, I guess, 2.5 kilometers in, and might as well get going. Okay, so this is actually the first thing that we check. I'm gonna stand still for a moment, let you guys listen. All right, so that bubbling means that it's still flowing under this sheet of ice. If it wasn't flowing, that means that our pond is essentially either solid all the way through, or that the little bit where it comes out has been cut off. So this is very important that we still have flowing, moving water through this area. All right. Here we go. This is the pond itself. I'm gonna climb up here. So, get up. Okay, so the water comes in here. It has a bit of a break, and then it slopes down this way. And we have a pipe over there that is our intake for a lot of the water systems. So I can tell that it's actually warmer today than it was the last 2 days, because all of this was frozen completely solid. But we have a nice little bit that's opened up there now, so I can see it moving, which is good. Right. Okay, so there's actually 2 communities that get water from this particular river. So this is for the other community water system. Their stuff is all in here, and ours is just further upstream. This is actually part of it, but that's all insulated and we don't need to check on it right now. We do need to do, let's get on over this way. Okay, so this is the second portion. Now again, I can tell that it's actually warmed up quite a bit. I know that seems like a silly thing to say when I'm looking at sheets of ice, but previously this section here was not quite, but it was starting to almost move over to the other side, and all this flowing water was not present before. But yesterday I took the time, when my partner was also here with me, and we kind of like took away a lot of that front little shelf there until the water started flowing over again. So it looks like that did a really good job, and it hasn't come back too much overnight. Okay. Whew. All right, so I can see where the previous, or I can feel, I should say, where the previous bit of ice was. This has been flowing over top, essentially for the last 24 hours. So it's kind of created, whew, there we go, see? It's created a bit of that flaky sheet, whereas before it was just all solid. So this is indeed the river that I'm standing on right now. So I do want to be careful, but I'm just going to feel around, make sure I can actually find the pipe. All right, yeah. Okay, that's actually a lot clearer than it has been previously. So that's really awesome. Before, I was essentially, every time I would poke the pole in. Okay, there we go. I'm finding a bit now. I'm essentially going into a bunch of slush. And so what I've been doing is trying to get rid of as much of that slush as I can, because the more that builds up, the more likely it is that it's going to just kind of cover over. And you can see by how bent our pole is, we've been really digging at a lot of this lately. So, but there you go. There we go. So you can see that's a nice big chunk of just the frostiness, slushiness that's hanging out under the water. Okay, that's going to be it for now. Yeah, that's not nerve-wracking at all, is it? So that's pretty much good for now. There's really not a lot of slushiness forming. Hold on, I can see a little chunk right there. I'm gonna get that off. There we go. But yeah, so the pipe in there is actually pretty nice and clear. We've got a lot of good flowing, moving water here. And if anyone wants to do a polar dip, this is your spot. Actually, that's a lie. There was a better one back that way. What do you think? Does this count as like stream ASMR? There we go. The spot I was talking about. It's a bit hard to see through the trees, but that to me is the perfect spot for a cold dip. So Rachel, if you are watching, this is where I'm going to check you in, okay? Alright everyone, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you did enjoy the video, please do help out with a like or a comment or something to appease the algorithm gods. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. You want to say bye? You want to say bye, Oval? You want to say bye? You want to say bye to people? No, just kisses? Just kisses. Okay. Bye guys.